Hello, and welcome to Grim Talks. Last time we talked, we all became, we all became international ITAR violating criminals. Talking about the PVS 14 night vision from Goonin Gear. It's very cool. You can check that out here. This time, I want to go extra nerdy and talk about the Steam Deck from Valve. I'm sorry. I had to sneak my signed Portal 2 poster in here somehow, if you caught it in the background. The short story is that back when Portal 2 came out, the Valve store was selling these really nice, they were like metal lithographs of the Portal 2 launch posters, and they were signed by the artist that drew up the poster. And those were really cool, but I had more appreciation for the "My Boss is a Robot" poster they had at the time, and I decided to just directly email Gabe, the president of Valve. I emailed him at his Gavin email address, and I asked him, "Hey, would you sign one of these posters?" And he did. He freaking did. Gavin signed it on the name tag of the robot boss. How freaking cool is that? What a guy. Thank you, Gabe. You know you'll never see this. And that was back in 2011 when Portal 2 came out. And now it is 2022, and Valve has made this guy here. It's the Steam Deck. This is the 512 Pro model from the first quarter with the etched anti-glare screen, but as a sort of admin note, you might have to deal with some reflections of me, and I'm sorry for that. I might be repping Silencer Central today on my t-shirt. Anyways, based on my email reservation time code, I had my reserve in 6 seconds after the reserves went up on the Steam store. And so I don't know how I got that lucky, but it does mean I've had it for a little while now, and I'm more comfortable with it and happy to talk about it. And I do hope that the reserve situation that they have, the backlog, goes down on the orders for these things so that you guys can also get your hands on one. And I just hope it's not like the Index or something like that. The bottom line up front is, I think if your expectations for what this can do with modern games if your expectations are too high, you might feel a little bit burned if you have to drop down all your graphic settings to medium or even low. But on the other hand, I think if you're realistic, or you're into older games and emulation, or you're just a tinkerer like me, then this thing is pure freaking magic. I have owned every Nintendo handheld they have ever made, all the way back to the Game Boy. That is how old I am. I've also had a Game Gear. I had the original PSP, and in the past couple years, what I've been doing is I've been buying a lot of these, I guess they're like Android-based handheld systems coming out of China, and their claim to fame is emulation and having high specs for that type of thing. And all of these things are now collecting dust because of the Steam Deck. Even my Odin Pro. Sorry, I haven't even opened it. I'm sorry, Odin. The best I can say, I guess, about the ergonomics to start with is that it's not as bad as it looks. The action of all these buttons and movements and sticks are good in that they don't stand out in any way. I'd say they're pretty equal to my Xbox or PS5. That not standing out thing, that's probably the highest I could set the bar. If I'm aware of the action or the pressure that it takes to push on one of these things, or if it feels cheap or weird, then that'll take me right out of the game. The only thing that does feel kind of cheap and weird are these back buttons here. I don't know, their click is off, and sometimes when I'm holding it, I will accidentally press one of them, and they're usually cloned to these face buttons here, and all of that you can figure it out, but I do sometimes bump them. Again, all of that is customizable, but usually I'm too busy playing a game, or I'm too lazy to go in there and mess with those settings unless it's really just bugging the crap out of me. The trackpads are like, they're equal part awesome and horrible. Like, I never had the Steam controller, so keep in mind I don't have a ton of time, getting used to these things. But depending on how I'm resting my thumb, I can very rarely brush this right one. And if you're in a game or something, that'll like throw your screen all around. And that's, usually if the game's supporting this too, it'll have this on by default. But like the back buttons, it's more time consuming to go in there and mess around in the settings and shut it all off than it is to deal with just the very rare occasion of bumping this pad. And that's like the bad side of it. But the good side is that in like a mouse-based game, like a real-time strategy game, or just browsing here in the desktop mode, the trackpads are actually pretty awesome. Their tactile emulation is very cool if you've never used anything like it before. It's not exactly like a laptop trackpad, at least not by default on this right one. It actually simulates more of a roller ball. You might even hear it. So as you're moving around, it feels like you're rolling a ball under your thumb as the input. Sort of like one of those old golf arcade machines, if you're as old as me, where you like spin the giant golf ball to swing your club. It's weird, but it's pretty cool. The device itself isn't really heavy or chunky, even though it looks like it is. If anything, I kind of think the grip sections back here, they might be too thin to really grab onto, and the normal surface is slick enough that you might even end up squeezing it out of your hands if you're not in that perfect gaming grip. So if I was like lying down on the couch and holding this up like this, those weird non-ideal grip situations, that's where I'd have a problem basically keeping a hold of it. And I had some extra Talon tape lying around, and I just stuck it on here. Yes, I know it looks awful and I'm really bad at applying it, but it works. Just ignore it for your sanity if you can. The system performance for gaming it's good, and it sucks, and it's kind of fickle, and it's really impressive. Maybe the best way to think about it is, if you can keep in mind what this is, you will love it. It is not a high performance fancy LED desktop PC with like a 3090. So try not to think about it as a bad desktop. Instead, it's more of like a really badass tiny laptop with that Nintendo Switch style form factor. I think if you approach the performance from that side, you will be more impressed. And you also have to be kind of familiar with tinkering with settings both in game and on the deck to really get the those graphically intense games dialed in just right. The operating system Valve is pushing on this thing it's pretty much magic. Yeah, and it's also improving all the time. So if you want to just grab this and play your Steam library on the go, like, congratulations. It does most of those things just fine, like Dead Space 2 or something, just to show it. Oh, I think I saved in a really bad spot the last time I played this game, but it's worth a look. And I know people out there, they're doing these videos where they'll show you the frames per second you're getting in various games and things like that, but I figured you may as well see something kind of cool. And that Dead Space remake is coming up. Oh man, that should be awesome. Like, I remember when this game came out, it never even occurred to me that this was something that could be portable in the future. Oh boy. Here we go with all these online check-in things, which are... This is probably the biggest downside that I've seen so far. Like, I don't want to log into my EA account. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to play the audio of this, I wonder? I don't know. If I get flagged or something, I guess they'll let me know. Look at this, though. That is Dead Space 2 on a portable. Locked at 30 frames per second, but that's just because this game is locked there. Let's go. Oh no, spoilers. The marker. Alright, that's enough of that. You know, like if you're like me though, half of the fun of this isn't just booting up something that works sort of out of the box like that. It's getting something to run on this that is like challenging, or you have to tinker with a little bit to get it to work just right. But succeeding at getting something like SWAT 4 to work on here was only like 1 or 2 more steps than installing it from your Steam library, but it was fun. And look, I mean, I have portable SWAT 4 if it runs. Another, you know, thinking back to playing this on my PC when I was in like high school or something. Again, just something that never would have even occurred to me that this could ever be possible. How quickly can we get through SWAT 4 menus, I wonder? Not too bad. Let's continue mine.
Detective 247, Adam, this is Central BCC. Adam, for your truck warning for
Oh, SWAT 4, I love you. I love you so much. I love you, Gold Team. But, that's right, I'm making a video. I'm not playing SWAT 4. I do just want to show you real quick. If you do see that and you're like, oh, SWAT 4. For the record, SWAT 4 is installed on here and it's being managed and added to that Steam library. It's through the Heroic launcher. It's in your app list, or you'll have to search for it in your apps list while you're here in desktop mode. And that app lets you install games from GOG, and there's some other kind of launcher in there, I think. And I guess kind of while we're talking about desktop mode, I'll add the navigating around in here like this, you know, with the pads and the touchscreen. It's okay, but if you're going to be doing some crazy stuff in here, I definitely recommend that you go to, like, I went to Amazon and I bought this little keyboard trackpad type deal. I think this is like $9, and this gives you right click and left clicks, and you just, you know, you attach it to your Steam Deck, and it is so much better. Get one of these if you want to get around in desktop mode, please, for for your sanity. And it kind of goes back to that absolute worst part that I hate about this, that we kind of saw a little bit in Dead Space. And that is, some of these games require like their own separate launcher, even if you're allowed to launch it out of your Steam library. And that's games like GTA 5 and the Mass Effect collection, and even my favorite thing I've been playing on here, which is Ghost Recon Wildlands. They have these like Ubi launcher and Rockstar launcher and all that crap. Like, fix your shit, guys, and let me play these games offline. And EA, you know what you've done. And let's change tracks then and For emulation, you might want to expect like a very weird performance curve here. And that's because people are working on building and updating these emulators themselves. So you'll get anywhere from like solid PlayStation 2 and Dreamcast type performance, and maybe like a little dip of the toe into some more advanced stuff like Xbox and PS3. And you can get some of those things working, but we're all waiting on wider support of the deck itself so that those awesome people out there making emulators can actually focus on the performance and the factor of the Steam Deck itself. And I think it's something that can't be ignored. You know, it's been great. It's been awesome to catch up on some of those older games here with this, and maybe for safety purpose, that is the most I'll say on that topic. But the point is, the Steam Deck, I love it, man. I gave you some of the good and some of the bad, and I really probably could go on forever, but I'll spare you. Leave a comment if you want to know anything more specific, even with like SWAT 4 stuff. Love SWAT 4. And, you know, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.